Infusible ink pens. What are they and how can I use them? Those are the topics that we're going to cover in today's video. My name is Kelly and let's get clacking. Infusible inks are Cricut's equivalent of sublimation, which is a product that allows sublimation to be brought to so many more people, as it's previously kind of been gate-kept by very expensive printers and very expensive inks. Now, before we start off this video, I'd like to say a huge thank you to Layla, who was my first ever super thanks on my last video. Thank you so much for your support, Layla. Really appreciate you. The Infusible ink products allow many more people the opportunity to work with sublimation type items. So polyester t-shirts, nice little coasters, all those kinds of really fun things. And of course we have the Infusible ink sheets, which we're not going to cover in today's video, because today we're going to be looking at the pens, how to use them. So because they are sublimation, that means that they are heat activated inks and that they work on polyester or sublimation ready or sublimation coated items. Now of course Cricut does have their own range of sublimation items. We're talking the tote bags, they have normal coasters, they have your ceramic coasters, they even have their own range of t-shirts as well. But I mean, if I'm being completely honest, the Cricut items are quite expensive and sublimation ready items are not as expensive. However, I do sometimes feel that the quality of the Cricut items is a little bit better than the sublimation items. In some cases, not necessarily all of them. So it's completely up to you to decide whether you want to try and invest in the Cricut items or maybe just buy some of the sublimation ready items. And of course, if this is your first time trying the infusible inks, I would definitely recommend going with the cheaper options. You're not so upset with the fact that you've now wasted a 250 Rand t-shirt or whatever the case is. So go and pick up a couple of mouse pads. They're generally quite inexpensive. You can test it on that, and then you don't have to worry too much about the cost. So the pens. The pens are of course compatible with the Maker and the Explore machines. They're not compatible with the Cricut Joy, and to my knowledge they don't have any infusible ink pens for the Joy at this stage, but I hope that they'll change that in the future. That might be something else fun they can bring out. What a lot of people do is you can design something in Cricut Design Space, obviously using, you know, the normal pen feature. Draw it with your pens and then color it in once you've, you know, outlined it and whatnot in Cricut Design Space. Or you can use the internal offset hack and, you know, do multiple internal offset lines to get kind of the coloring in side if you're not actually wanting to color it in yourself. For the infusible inks, you don't have to have special sublimation paper. You can just use normal copy paper. Many people say that the sublimation paper comes out a little bit brighter. So if you do have some sublimation paper lying around, you can try and use that. But we'll actually do a test today on each of those and show you what it looks like on sublimation paper and what it looks like with just normal copy paper. And we can see for ourselves which one is the right one to use. So let's hop on over to Cricut Design Space and make a project with infusible ink pens. So as always in Cricut Design Space, we're going to start off with a look in Cricut Access, and I'm going to look for something that says Good Vibes. Kind of like this one, so I'm going to add this one to the canvas, and I'm going to be using these coasters. So you can see there that these coasters are, you know, normal coaster size, and they're quite nice. They've got a cork backing, which is pretty cool as well. It's a little bit dirty, and these coasters are 9.5 centimeters squared. So let's just make this a little bit bigger. 8 by 6. That seems to be okay. So in order to be able to use the infusible ink pens, we need to change this design, as it's currently set to basic cut. So if we had to put our piece of paper in the Cricut machine and, you know, start, it'll cut the paper, which we don't want. So in the top left hand corner under operations, we need to change that from basic cut to pen. Now you'll see it changes it from being brown to being white, and it's just one outline. So when you draw it, it'll only draw a single outline on the outside, which is fine because then we can color it in. However, if that's not the vibe you're going for, if that's not the good vibe, what you can do is you can use the offset feature. Just to the right, you'll be able to see the offset button and you can click on it. Now there's a little gray line in the middle here. If we press apply now, it'll leave the offset on the outside, which is not what we want. So we actually want to move it over to the negative side, and you'll see it kind of disappears because the thickness of the line is quite big. So the pens that we're going to be using are the standard Cricut Infusible Ink Pens, and they're a 0.4 millimeter thickness. This is centimeters, so we need to change it to 0.04 in order to have the correct width. So we're going to type that in, and you'll see how it kind of makes a little bit of a line there on the inside. You can see the little blue line. We're going to click apply. So if we wanted to have a thicker black outline and then maybe color it in with whatever colors we want, because there's 30 of them, so we can really go to town on the colors, then we can just leave it like that just to make the black outline a little bit stronger, which I think what I'm going to do in this case. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of them, both of the layers. I'm going to right click and I'm going to attach them just so that they draw in the same place. And of course, if you wanted this to be all the way colored in, you would just need to continue to go offset, apply, offset, apply, offset, apply until it's filled in everything. You might need to correct a few patches here and there. If you don't want to do that, then put the offset to negative 0.03, just so that it overlaps the lines a little bit, and that should work a little bit better. So because we're going to be testing it on copy paper and sublimation paper, I'm going to be drawing 2 of them. So we can either duplicate it now. Let's duplicate it now. I like to do those things ahead of time. And what we also need to do, because it is a sublimation type thing, we need to make sure that what we are drawing is going to be reversed or mirrored. So we can either mirror it in the send panel, or we can mirror it now, which I'd prefer doing. So I'm going to go flip horizontal so that we know that everything is correct and I don't need to remember about anything later. And I'm then going to go make it, and you'll see it'll write it there. So now because I want to do 2 different ones on 2 different kinds of paper, I'm going to put them on either side of the screen, and then we can test that out. I have my normal copy paper, as you can see, and then I have my sublimation paper. It's got the text print on the back, and I'm going to put the one on either side. So let's start off with sublimation paper on this corner and the normal copy paper on the other. And we're going to obviously be using the Infusible Ink Pens, and I'm going to be starting off with the black one. Now these haven't been lying upside down. Many people suggest to have them upside down, but these have not been. So that'll be an interesting test to see if they will work like that as well. So of course we just load them into the machine like normal, and I've just chosen copy paper because it doesn't really matter, and we're going to load the mat.
One eternity later.
We have both of our pages colored, and right from the word go, this one looks a little bit duller than that one does, which is fine because normally with sublimation and infusible inks, the color pops once it's been applied. So we reserve judgment. I'm going to be trying some fun colors. I really like this green and that green. Maybe let's try this red and an orange as well. Now I'm just going to color it in a little bit and see how it goes. Again, right from the word go, I'm noticing the same problem that I had with the other pen set that I bought, where they went dry very quickly. But if you turn the pen, it seems to help. It's a little bit of a pain though. This is not giving me good vibes. I'm going to try with the other one that I've had for a couple of months and that has been standing upside down. Okay, same one. This is the sublimation paper that we're writing on. Okay. Let's try it on, let's try a different color. Oh, let's try this one on the normal paper. We obviously won't be able to accurately compare that to that because we know that they're not the same equivalent. Okay, so I'm going to leave this one here. And I'm going to try and get as even a color distribution on the sublimation paper versus the copy paper as well. I mean, color does seem a lot brighter on the sublimation paper. It obviously picks up a lot more of the ink, which is pretty cool. So let's try and see if we can get a little bit more color going. Interestingly enough, now they almost seem to draw better on the copy paper than they draw on the text print. I'm going to color in the rest of us and we'll rejoin each other when we're done. So now they're both colored in, we can take a little bit of a closer look at them and see which one looks better. And much to my surprise, this is the normal copy paper one. This one actually looks a lot better than I thought it would. The colors are a lot more even, especially when you compare it directly to that one. And of course I tried to keep them pretty much both colored at the same rates and whatnot, but the colors distribute evenly better on the copy paper than they do on the sublimation paper. So I'm going to press them now off camera and I'm going to see what they look like once they're pressed. I'm going to press them both at the same time so that it's the same time, same temperature, same duration, etc. And then we will see. I'm going to be using the Cricut Infusible Ink coaster blanks. They're the ones with the cork on the underside. Pretty cool.
A few moments later.
And now we reveal. Doesn't look too bad. Okay. Okay, so this was the sublimation paper. This was the copy paper. Now you can very clearly see the lines on the sublimation paper one. The copy paper one looks a lot more even. We can tell that the color has dispersed a lot better than what it has on the sublimation one. It's still very hot. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm quite shocked at the difference between the two. I'm glad that we persevered with the pens because though I wasn't necessarily a very big fan of them in the beginning, I mean, I see how they can serve their purpose. They can give you quite a usable result. Again, shocked at the copy paper versus the sublimation paper. Were you also shocked at that result? Let me know in the comments. If you would like to support the channel, consider joining the channel. We have monthly live streams and other benefits. So I'll see you in my next video, and remember, be kind to someone today. See you soon.